Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, the nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you're thinking, if you are not mindful about what you're thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand and you have to totally be aware of what you're thinking. Okay, so whenever you become aware of what you're thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do? Think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness, right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought, right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention, right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, when you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So, what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts? These negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, when you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I am not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those four steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these four thoughts before doing the final one, okay? So practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it, make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Today I'm going to share a wonderful story with you. Once in ancient India, our Maha Bodhisattva, whom we called the Buddha to be, was born to a family of traders. He grew older and he became the leader for 500 caravan of traders. So they packed their food, water and rations to cross long deserts. So one day, while they were traveling to sell their goods to faraway cities, they came across to an edge of a desert. So in order to get to the city, they had to cross this desert. So this wise Mahabodhisattva, this young trader, decided that it is very harsh and it is very dangerous to travel this desert in the daytime because the sun was too hot and the sand was too hot like burning charcoal. So they decided to travel in night and to rest in the daytime. So they arranged their carts in a circle in the daytime and they rest under the carts, under the shades. And they started crossing the desert in the night. After a couple of days later, the desert guides said that they have reached their destination and they are one night away to the city. So the traders was very happy and they ate everything that they had and they drank their water because they had to reduce their weights in the carts. So while traveling at the night, the desert guides lost their path. And after traveling a long, long circle, they returned back to the middle of the desert. Now, when the sun rose in the next day, they realized that they had lost their way and they have come to the middle of the desert. Now they are in the middle of the desert and they have no water and they have no food to eat. So everyone was parched, everyone was tired, and everyone was suffering from thirst. So everyone gave up all of their hopes and they laid down on the hot sand, resigning their life to the fate. But this young trader, our Mahabodhisattva, thought, if I give up my hopes, everyone would die. If I give up my courage, everyone will be in danger. So I must find a solution to cross this desert, and I must find a way to find some water to these people. So while our Mahabodhisattva was walking here and there thinking of a solution, he saw a bunch of grass has grown on the desert. Then the Mahabodhisattva decided, if there is a bunch of grass, there must be a stream of water running beneath this bunch of grass. Then he called to everyone and said, dig under this bunch of grass and you will find water. Everyone was happy and they took their spades and mammoties and they started digging a hole in that place. After hours and hours of digging, they came to a surface of a stone. Everyone was tired. Everyone was crying because they could not break the stone. They could not find any sign of water. Then everyone laid down around the hole and they started crying and started yelling at the leader. But our Mahabodhisattva didn't give up. He searched for a person who has the courage to do something about this disaster. Then he called to a boy and Mahabodhisattva said, son, if you give up, we all are in danger. Take this sledgehammer and start striking to the stone. There must be water beneath the surface of the stone. This boy was courageous enough to do that. He believed in the words of the tradesman and he took the sledgehammer, went down to the hole and he started striking hard to the stone. First strike, the stone didn't break. Second strike, it didn't break. Third strike, it did nothing. He summoned up every part of the strength, every single strength that was inside his body, and he struck hard to the stone surface. The stone surface broken. A huge gush of water cascaded from the stone, filling the hole within no time. Everyone was happy. Everyone drank water. Everyone fed their oxen. And they filled their vessels with water and they started traveling. They started crossing the desert again. And finally, they reached to the city happily. Dear children, dear devotees, sometimes when we try for our success, when we do the things that make our lives successful, it seems a bit harder. Sometimes you may feel that you should give up. Remember, you will fail only if you quit, if you give up. If you did not give up, one day you will achieve the successfulness in your life. Therefore, sometimes success may be one step away from our life. All we need to do is go for that, do that, take some risk, and find your success in your life. Because doing these things, doing the things which makes our life better, doing the things which brings the happiness to our life is hard. So you have to remember that if you give up only, you will fail. Therefore, never give up. Always work for your success. Although it is hard, one day that success will make your life happy. So never give up being a good person, and never give up being successful in your life. Namo Buddhaya, Thiruvon Saranai. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something really important for all of our lives, especially in these days, and that is the things that we should not speak with others, according to Buddha's teachings. Now, at first, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Buddhist, so why should I care about these things? Here's the thing. These principles can be applied to anyone's life, regardless of their religion or belief system. So that is why these speeches are called 4 unwholesome speeches. That is what Buddha said about these speeches, 4 unwholesome speeches. So without any further ado, let's dive in. First of all, we have lying. Now Buddha said, stay away from lying. Now I know we all have said white lies here and there in all of our lives, right? But whether it is a white lie, whether it is a black lie, grey lie, or a red lie, no matter what the lie is, lying itself can be so harmful for all of our lives. Why is that? When you lie, it destroys your trust. When you lie, it destroys your character, right? So that is why it is very important to have trust between people. In our daily relationships between people, the most important component of a happy relationship is the trust. So that is why Buddha said, live a truthful life. And it is very important to have that transparency and honesty in our relationships. So the first thing that we have to stay away from is lying. And next we have divisive speech. What do you mean by divisive speech? Divisive speech is all about creating drama between people or creating conflicts between people using your words, right? It can be gossiping or it can be talking behind someone's back, right? I must say that when you talk these words or when you use this divisive speech, it is not a good thing for your life. And also it is not a good thing for other people's relationships. So Buddha said, do not use this divisive speech. Do not break the relationships between people using your words. Most of the time, we use the divisive speech out of jealousy or out of anger. So that is why it is very important to stay away from divisive speech. And the third one is, Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. Now, when someone is calling you or when someone is treating you with rude words, how do you feel? Now, we all have been in this receiving end of such speeches, no? How did you feel? We felt sad. We felt depressed. We felt down about ourselves. So that is why Buddha said, do not use your words to put someone down, right? Do not use your words out of anger. This is all about criticizing and name calling and putting someone else down with your words, right? So Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. And finally, Buddha said, stay away from idle chatter. What do you mean by idle chatter? Idle chatter is all about speaking meaningless or useless things. right? Now, that doesn't say that we cannot have a small chat or a fun talk with people. We can do that, but we have to know where our limit is in our speech, right? We have to set the boundaries in our speech, right? We have to know where our speech become unproductive, right? When you use these words, when you use your words in a meaningful way, you can create a positive life, and you can create a positive emotions or positive feelings in others' lives too, right? So these are the 4 unwholesome speeches that we have to stay away from, that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us according to the Buddha's teachings, right? So why all these things matter? Why these unwholesome speeches matter in our life? Well, Buddha said, the words that we speak can create either positive or negative karma in our life. Do not think lightly about this karma, right? You have to be very careful about the karma. So the intention behind your words really matters in your life. And that is why we have to use our words wisely, because it can make a huge impact in our lives as well as in others' lives too. So words that we speak are like a knife, right? You can use the knife to cut something useful, right? And also you can use the knife to kill someone else. So let's use our words to create a better life for ourselves and for others. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some food for thought for your life. So until next time, I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya. First of all, we have to realize that living in the present moment, focusing your mind to the present moment, is not a simple thing. It is very hard, but also it is an achievable target. Our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, Atitang nanvagameya nappati kanke anagatam. You should not chase after the past. And also, you should not make too much expectations about the future. Supreme Buddha said, Yadati tang pahinantang appattancha anagatam. What is past is left behind. It is gone. It is over now. Appattancha anagatam. The future is yet to come. It hasn't reached yet. Buddha said, Pachupannancha yo dhammang tattha tattha vipassati. What you have to do is live in the present moment and see the present moment as it is. Right? Realize the present moment as it is. So it is very hard to focus your mind to the present moment. Our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us the nature of the mind is it always runs to the past. Normally, our mind has a habit to wander in the past, memories, right? When we are alone, when we are solitude, and when we live in our life alone, lonely, normally, it is the nature our mind runs to the past. It lives in the past memories, thinking about them. Sometimes you may regret about them. Sometimes you may be happy about them. Sometimes you may cry about them. Right? So that is the nature of our mind. It is always wandering in the past. And also sometimes our mind try to make expectations, too much expectations about the future, right? People dream too much about their future, but they do not work for the dreams to come true. So our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you should not let your mind to wander in the past, as well as you should not let your mind to go for the future and make too much expectations about that. What you have to do is, you have to work in the present moment to make your future better as well as to make your past better. Because when you live correctly in the present moment, right, your past will be a good one because you have lived in the correct way. And also, if you are sure that you are living correctly in the right way in the present moment, your future will be also a good one because you are doing the right thing right now. So, you need to have a good practice to focus your mind to the present moment. So it should be practiced by meditation as well as it should be practiced in the practical world, in your life. So I will teach you some tricks or things that you should practice in your life to be in the present moment, right? So, when you have a free time, right, dedicate yourself to live in the present moment for a little time. During the day, when you have the free time, allocate your time about 5 minutes to live in the present moment. Sit on a chair, you can close your eyes and just experience that you are in your present. You are not in your past, you are not in your future, always you are in your present. That is the reality, right? The past has gone as well as the future hasn't come yet, right? So, close your eyes and just try to focus your mind to the present moment. Try to think about what you feel, what you hear, and what you think about. All the things that you experience now will fade away to the past, and it will go into the arena of past, right? So take your time in the day and practice this. The best way to focus your mind to the present moment is the breathing meditation. Breathing meditation is one of the best meditations that you can bring your mind from the arena of past and the future to the present moment. Because the breath, when you are focusing on your breath, right, always the breath arises and it goes down. So this breath prevails in the present. So when you focus your mind to the breath, then your mind is always in the present moment. And also, you have to practice to live in the present moment in your practical life, in your day-to-day life. So how to do that? So it is very beneficial to live in the present when you are in the hard times, when you are going through a problem. Now suppose if a person comes to you and started blaming you. Now when he is blaming, you hear that sound, the words, right? When we think about these words, right? When he is blaming, you hear that, and after that very moment, it has gone to the arena of past. Those words are not prevailing anymore, right? But our mind does not like to think that. Our mind clings to those words, right? Our mind tries to hold on to those words, and what our mind does is it always make a loop-like thing to bring back all those thoughts, all those words again and again to our mind, and that is why we are suffering. That is why we feel hurt, right? If we can realize the reality that all these words that I heard has gone to the past, they are no longer here anymore, they are vanished, then you don't want to suffer for anything, right? Because it has gone to the past. You cannot do anything about that. But our mind is not ready for that, right? Our mind tries to cling to those words, right? So what you have to do, when someone blames you, when you are going through a hard time, realize that all those things are impermanent, and it vanishes very quickly from my life. So I don't want to worry about them, right? So if you are living in the present moment correctly, doing the correct thing, doing the right thing, doing good things, you don't want to worry about the past, as well as you don't want to worry about the future. Of course, you can make the plans for the future, no problem, but do not dream too much about it. Because the more we dream, it is like we are stopping our vehicle and just looking towards the road without driving, right? The more we dream, we feel jealous about the achievers who achieve our goals, right? So it is like you are stopping your vehicle on the road and looking at the vehicles that pass by. You are not driving, right? You can make your plans, you can make your goals, but do not dream too much about it. Just start working for it, right? So the dream becomes a goal when you are working on it only. So if you can live in the present, doing the correct thing, doing what should be done now, you don't want to worry about the past, as well as you don't want to worry about the future. So in that way, you will have a life without regret and without worrying about the future and the past. And live your life in the present moment and be happy by your life. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai.